Welcome to a 5-minute farewell to two full-time careers. This is Ron Bitzer, assisted by Josh Bitzer and artist Alex Bitzer. So some of my activities are definitely changing, others are not. I can tell you at home I will continue to read the obit page of the LA Times. Want to see if my name shows up.
I know about your first career, advocating for Vietnam veterans. I visited Swords to Plowshares in San Francisco.
That's right, I was a co-founder of Swords, and in my first career with Vietnam veterans, I teamed up with Ron Kovic, who had just published his best-selling autobiography, Born on the 4th of July, which, by the way, is still in print with a foreword by Bruce Springsteen. He and I were protesting the ill-informed way Americans treated many veterans of the Vietnam War. So much so that KBC News in Los Angeles aired a local editorial naming Kovic and me as outside agitators during one of our 3-week protests. Looking back, Kovic and I found that cultural change, that is, the American attitudes towards veterans, had to come first before political change. In 2014, 3 decades after Kovic and I were active, the House Veterans Affairs Committee had this to say about their investigation into VA hospitals. This is a tragic story of federal bureaucrats more concerned about their career track than the health of their patients.
It seems you were pretty successful at helping veterans. So what made you change careers?
Well, I think by the early 80s, attitudes in this country, that is the cultural feelings, were beginning to change. And also, when you're a political activist, Josh, you really only can expect a subsistence wage. In fact, one of the first questions that Sister Terrence at Little Company asked me when I took the fundraising job there was, "Ron, is that all you do, fundraising?" Now, I think it was a leading question because she knew Kay Conrad. Her late husband, Paul Conrad, was a big supporter. And I think Sister knew that I, in fact, had a previous career, trying to make the healthcare of our country better.
So what kind of life will it be after 2 challenging careers?
Well, that's a good question. I've thought, what was life before my first career? And maybe that'll shed light on life after full-time careers. Probably not a whole lot of travel. As a teenager, I spent a year in West Berlin. Then the Army sent me to East Asia, where I served as an enlisted person. After military service, I stayed in Asia. In Nepal, I was with Kumar's cousin north of India in a Himalayan village, where I enjoyed a nice cup of tea. Also, I was able to spend a springtime in Japan, traveling north as the cherry blossoms bloomed. Here I'm with Duyan's cousin. And of course, there's the enchanted island of Bali, where I met Agnes's sister. Bali has been called the morning of the world by a former Indian prime minister. One of the common threads in all of my work, I believe, has been my desire to write about my experiences. In Berlin, for example, I was at the famous JFK Ich bin ein Berliner speech, something to write about, even today. In my college career, I published an academic article. In the military, they had me writing about special missions. As a Vietnam veteran activist, the San Francisco paper published not only this opinion piece, but an image of a U.S. military uniform with not the Army Commendation Medal, but a syringe and a bottle hanging down from the uniform. Quite a bold step for the San Francisco paper. The LA Times also wanted to hear from us. In the 1980 publication, Strangers at Home, Vietnam Veterans Since the War, I wrote about mentally disabled Vietnam vets. As a fundraiser, I've tried to also contribute to our enhanced expertise. I continue to lobby for a more responsive city government in the city of LA. And of course, for what I call urban agriculture, bees and even chickens. So, if there's a common thread in my careers, I would say I prefer to work with the needy rather than the greedy. Here you see me with Manuel Dorado, a court appointment that I've had since 1982, caring for a 100% disabled Vietnam veteran.
What are your plans for the future?
Yes, I am closing chapters on 2 challenging careers, and I'm also looking forward to reinvigorating my avocation I've had over the decades, namely beekeeping. In recent years, the global community has become more aware of the essential value of honeybees as efficient pollinators of the food we eat, and in the threats to bees. Any PR expert will say that global awareness of an issue is an opportunity not to be missed. So I'm looking forward to, and I'm already helping community members in the San Fernando Valley to keep productive colonies of honeybees and to educate community members, some of whom are as young as 4 years of age.